Johnny Dollar.
Johnny, this is Phil Easterday.
Easterday?
That's right.
Out in San Diego.
Right, with Mono Guarantee Insurance.
Well, sure. How are you, Phil? It's been a long time.
I'm fine, yes, I know it has. How'd you like to take a little run out here, Johnny?
Sunny Southern California? Why not?
Okay. Now, according to this plane schedule I'm looking at, if you can get a move on, you can just about make connections on one of the jets coming out this way.
Good.
I'll pick you up at the airport. See you, Johnny.
Hey, wait a minute, Phil.
Yes?
Give me something to worry about along the way. What's your problem?
Burglary.
Oh?
Or rather, a whole series of them.
I see.
Yep, all directed at the same man. Or rather, man and wife.
Whole series of them, hmm?
Right.
What's been taken?
The same thing every time, Johnny.
That's so what?
Hold your hat.
I'm holding.
Just exactly nothing.
All right, I'll grab... What was that?
You heard me.
Well, I asked you what had been stolen.
Yes, that's
and you
right.
said exactly nothing.
Right.
That doesn't make sense.
I know. But now you'll have to hurry to make your plane. Goodbye.
Phil, just a minute.
I'll be here and waiting for you.
The CBS Radio Network brings you Mandel Kramer in the exciting adventures of the man with the action-packed expense account. America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar to the Mono Guarantee Insurance Company office in San Diego, California. Following is an account of expenses incurred during my investigation of the double-barreled matter. Expense account item 1, after I'd grabbed some breakfast and packed a couple of bags, $5.50 for a cab out to Bradley Field. Item 2, $180.40 plane fare to New York, to Los Angeles, to San Diego. Thanks to one of the newer jets on that swing across the country.